We back on sports, and you know what? It's been a hell of a day given the news, and we're going to talk about that definitely today. I do want to start off with football, or should I say running, because it's it's both the same. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, the Philadelphia Soul. For those who don't know, on May 20th, the Philadelphia Soul are having a Heart and Soul 5K run. That's right, down at Wells Fargo Center. Now, given the information I've looked at this, they haven't. Anyone who's ever run, usually you wait to see the medals or whatever, entry fees and all this type of stuff. It's been really weird because they gave you the entry fee, but they still haven't produced the medal. So it's like, okay, or the shirts that you're going to be wearing. You're like, okay, or all the swag that you could be getting from it. It's like, okay, so what's going on here? And you don't know. So, given everything I've looked into their Facebook, I looked into online, they have zero communication with people who have signed up. I'm looking on their Facebook, and people are like, is this run still happening? No one's paying attention online to this. It's barely promoted. How about that? Horribly promoted. For what I saw on Twitter not too long ago, they retweeted another group saying that the run is still going to happen, on the 20th, but that's all anyone knows. And it's weird because when I looked at the course, I'm thinking, okay, well, it's a 5K around the course. Anyone who's done the Phillies 5K or the Flyers 5K, I've done all these 5Ks, especially for the sports teams. They're pretty much going to model the same thing, right? That's what you would think. It would just be the same run, But no, that's not the case in this 5K. So let's look at the exact course of what they're saying the 5K will consist of. Wait, what? Are you serious? So 3 laps around the Wells Fargo Center, pretty much in the parking lot, or right outside the parking lot, but 3 laps in a circle around the Wells Fargo Center. Are you serious? That's the best you got for a 5K? I don't know if they couldn't get any, I guess, how can I put this? Get the license to block off certain streets so they can make this a legit 5K? Or, I've run virtual runs that have better courses than this. Like, you've got to be kidding me. So, for what we know, this is literally 3 laps around the stadium. You've got people who still aren't communicating with those who have signed up and want to know because, at one point, if people don't know that they signed up, they're going to want their money back. You know what I mean? Granted, this is for charity, but this is horribly promoted. So I don't know if this seems like this is the first time that the Philadelphia Soul has tried to attempt this. Whoever their PR manager is for this, or should I say even their social media manager, whoever is, not keeping in contact with these people to let them know what's going on. You got to think these people are paying money to do this type of stuff, and they want to know what's going on, and you're not keeping in contact with them. I think it's time at this point that you start to replace those people. At this point, because you can't do that. You have to keep in contact with people so they know what's going on, especially for how close this run is. What's today? Today's the 17th. The run is in 3 days. 3 days, nobody knows what's going on. They don't know the medal. They don't know the shirts. Packet pickup people are asking, okay, well, if I can't make packet pickup here, are there going to be race day pickups? Which, for those who have run, that's all. 9 times out of 10, it's an option, but some places don't do it. But they let you know ahead of time that it's either an option or not an option. They haven't said anything to anyone. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered that have not gone answered. You know what I mean? And I feel as though they've dropped the ball on this one completely. It's horrible. But let's move on to the NFL, shall we? So we did arena football. Now let's go to, that's local, of course. Now let's go to another local team in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, originally the header for this was going to be Eagles running back concerns, okay? But given the news that just has come out, all right, and that's the thing, while I was setting up and the news came out, I was like, really? Really? So, because I had, you guys had asked me, who's going to be the starting running back for the Eagles? Well, I think we got our answer today, all right? Look at our Blount. We got our answer, all right? He's going to be the workhorse running back. But the fact is, we do still need to talk about this, okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, before this news came out today, and, Eagles signed him, we really didn't know who was going to be, the premier back. A lot of people don't want to see Matthews be the premier back. I personally looked into Eagles MiniCamp and saw a number of things, especially I was going to, end the discussion about, whether it be free agency. We should wait for free agency. As you know, I always talk about free agency. And, it looks like that's what they went and did, which is good. It's a good deal. They pulled the trigger on it, and they did the right thing. So we got our running back. However, there are also people that need, that we need to look at. And if you haven't seen Eagles Minicamp, the roster, and what I'll do is I'll put the link in the description field for you guys and gals who want to see what's going on. You have to also understand that a number of these guys, the Eagles did have at running back that were trying out at Minicamp. All right, so some of these rookies do have some upside. And given the reports, which we will talk about, all right, these are the top three. So you got Donnell Pummel from San Diego State, all right. Corey Clement, which to me, given the reports from Wisconsin, has a tremendous upside. He's the one to look forward to the most, Corey Clement, all right? And also there's Joe Yerby. Now, you also have to understand that a lot of people were saying, well, maybe we should give Smallwood a chance. Now, look, last season we saw a little bit of Smallwood, but as we know, Smallwood really doesn't want to be here in Philadelphia, all right? That's number one. And for those who do not remember what Smallwood has said about Philadelphia, let's look at his tweets. Now, I'm sure you can look at it and say, well, times have changed. He has changed his opinions because he was drafted, and you should just be happy that you went to a team, period. You should just be happy for that. But, of course, fans are going to, not forget that, and you shouldn't forget that. But the question is, will they be forgiving, depending on how he plays? I mean, let's be honest here. We've seen Lane Johnson do a number of stupid things, and there are still fans out there who will forgive him, all right? But there's more to Smallwood, because for those who don't know, Smallwood was arrested in a murder for trying to tamper with witnesses. That's right, he was trying to get people... he was trying to get a witness, all right, to recant statements, all right? That's what he's trying to do. And then we found out that the person he was trying to back actually pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, I believe. So, Smallwood isn't the greatest when it comes to, should I say, judgment, all right? But we can also say, well, at least he's loyal. I don't know. With Smallwood, I don't think he's a premier back. I don't at all. Maybe a secondary back, a relief back. But we'll see what happens, with Smallwood. But I wouldn't want to see him as the premier back at all. We got Blount. As far as I'm concerned, that's the guy to go with. And I understand I brought up Lane Johnson just a minute ago, so now we have to talk about the concerns now. He's going to be shifting the concerns to the offensive line. Can they open up holes for him to just power through? That's the question. Because that was a big problem that we had last season. Not having a back that could just power through, especially when in the red zone. You know what I mean? Especially in the goal line situation or at a 4th and 1 or whatever. And we saw all these trick plays that happened because we didn't have someone to rely on. So now that we have someone to rely on, can the offensive line overcome and open up a hole, and can Blount take advantage of that? That's the question. To this day, I still want Lane Johnson gone. I will not budge on that issue, given how he's cheated the game, given what he has said lately about teammates and things of that nature, and threw a quarterback under the bus. No, I really feel as though Lane Johnson has overstayed his welcome, and it's time for him. He should have been going last season. All right, and that he has to be replaced, as far as I'm concerned. We will see what happens with the offensive line, because the running back isn't an issue anymore. It's not a concern. Now you have to worry about the offensive line and also the health of the offensive line in depth, because we know how this goes. Okay, especially when the season starts. We got a long way for the season, till the season. You still got OTA, you still got all this other stuff that's going on. We will see what happens. We will see if everyone can stay healthy up till then, and we'll go into it, by the numbers as usual. Preseason, regular season. We'll see what happens, all right? But it is good news that the Eagles finally got themselves a good running back. Now, of course, as we know, Blount has some attitude issues, but, hey, you know what I mean? And we've seen, him be suspended for times where, he's done a little bit of drugs. Not the drugs that, Lane Johnson got caught with, but we shall see what happens in the future. We'll see if his attitude still remains the same when he was with the Patriots, and coming to the Eagles. If he's going to loosen up or change his way. And if he does change, I'm telling you this now, all right? If he changes and his attitude he starts getting reckless, then you have to start looking at Doug Peterson. Because Belichick, he kept him on a tight leash, and he was cool about it. That's how they ran their ship over there. And you notice every player who has had a problem and being wild, once they go to the Patriots, they cool. They mellow out. It's like, nope, I got to fall in line. This is it. And then when they leave, they start acting a fool again. So I'm really hoping that Doug Peterson can keep a handle on this. We will see what happens in the future, okay? But I'm telling you, look out for it. So be very careful with that. Let's move on, shall we? From the NFL and American football to football overseas. Let's talk about this. Now, you saw the video, Chelsea. You saw the video that I put up last week, right? Over the weekend, I should say. Chelsea winning the Premier League title. People are cheering in Philadelphia. Some of you were saying, rest in peace, headphone users. I put the warning in the description that it was going to be loud and staticky because of, it's an enclosed space and there's so many people next to me and they're yelling. It's right in the microphone. The microphone can't do it, on the camera can do it, but so much, on the phone. So, but still, it's one of those things where you see how Philadelphia is. And I've shown you this before. You've seen, the Flyers games when I would go out to places and I would record those, back in the day. And just how people react, when you go out and be social with people. Not social media, but be social with people in the real world. This is how it is. It's fun, it's engaging, no one's arguing with each other, no one's fighting and carrying on. No. As you can see, everyone's having a good time. Everyone's being happy. And it's funny because after it was all said and done, okay, I had people in the street stopping me, from after the win, and they're like, yeah, we won. One guy asked me about my track jacket. He was like, this is a nice jacket, where'd you get it? Like, I had a number of people stop me on the way back. It was really interesting. So a lot of people were very happy, and these are, of course, people who were at work at the time who couldn't make it to, said bar or whatever to watch the game. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. That was my day off. It wasn't that big of a deal for me. But for them, they still had their suits on and everything. There's even people who even showed up to the bar. You can tell they just came fresh from work. They still had their, their laptops and everything with them and, their suits on, but they had their scarf on or they had their hat on or they came, as fast as possible they could. That's what sports fans here in Philadelphia do. It's always been that way, okay? But apparently overseas, completely different. And I've told y'all this before, all right? When I went over there and I was wearing my Chelsea stuff, people was looking at me like, how dare you, wear that in our, part of the neighborhood? How dare, this is not your territory. You shouldn't be wearing this. And you know what? We start to see the salt flow once Chelsea had won the Premier League title this year.
Excuse me, boss. What team do you support? What, Chelsea?
Yeah.
Fuck Chelsea. Chelsea shit.
Yeah?
Fuck Chelsea. What?
Fuck you.
Fuck Chelsea.
Fuck you.
Fuck
twat.
Chelsea, pussy or what? Say something.
Go on,
Fuck
you
Chelsea.
Bruh! I'm dead! Right on the street! Oh, God! Oh, my God! And so, I'm sorry. Every time I see that shit, it makes me laugh so hard because the salt is just, oh, my God, I'm crying. Oh, my God! Right on the street! Fuck! I'm sorry. I can't tell you. Look, when I see stuff like that, when fans, look, there's a difference between passionate fans and people who just act like idiots on the street because their salt is just, it's at maximum. And I can't even be mad at that. If someone did it to me, I'd be like, you know what? You just mad. Have a Coke and a smile. Do you need a hug? I'd have played that off. But the fact that dude didn't know what to say, well, fuck you back. Fuck you. Ah, you fucking pussy. He didn't know how to play the game. He wasn't cool about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I support Chelsea. Yeah, well, we just won, so you can hold that. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah. So, as far as I'm concerned, that is hilarious. I'm just, oh my God. I love overseas. I love it. I love them. It's just, but like I said, of course we see this from sports fans everywhere. Like, there's salty sports fans everywhere you go. You know what I mean? But I think even here in America, there gets to a point, yeah, you see some fights every once in a while. You know what I mean? Lots of salt. And we've seen things, as of late, where people get very deadly. People are being shot and stuff at stadiums and stuff like that. We've seen it, But I think majority of people who are sports fans, they don't go that serious, They're a little salty. They may vent a little bit of anger online. But they're not just just be on the street and fuck you, fuck that. On the camera, like that takes an extreme amount of salt to do some shit like that. But oh my God, I every time I see that clip, I just like when setting up this video. Jesus, this is hilarious. I can't. I love overseas. I tell you, I love it over there. It's great. If you have not been overseas for that type of stuff, please, please, go. I implore you, please go over there. Go over there and understand their customs and everything, and how passionate they are. It's hilarious, man. I can't help but, oh my God, I can't help but laugh. But speaking of laughing, like I said, once again, Chelsea, we won. I want to thank Leicester City all right, for holding and borrowing our title for 1 year, and giving it back to us. And some of you Leicester fans said, don't worry, we're going to fart in it when we give it back to you. That's real classy, But I have to say to Chelsea fans, and here's one thing, Chelsea fans, all right, remember last season where a lot of you were freaking out and bitching and moaning and then saying, no, we don't want Marino, we want Marino back and all this other bullshit and blaming the players? Remember, these are the same players who just won you another title. Fast forward to now, to current time here, all right? You had one bad season, you acted like a bunch of babies who don't know that, that losing is actually a thing. Now, granted, I understand the history of Chelsea. I get it. Some of you say, who are not Chelsea fans will say, well, they didn't come along. They weren't really a good winning team until, they stepped in and threw a lot of money at, players. And you know what? The top 5 clubs are like that, to be honest. Let's be real here, all right? The top 5 clubs. So we're talking Chelsea, we're talking Arsenal, we're talking Man U, we're talking Man City. Yeah, we got to bring them in it, and we're talking Liverpool. So the top 5 clubs. I guess now you can start adding in Tottenham. But as we know, Tottenham had a long stretch where they weren't that good. So the top 5 ball clubs have usually been that way. Okay, so that's not anything surprising. It's not, all right? Now, with that said, let me say now that these Chelsea fans, remember, all those other fans that had their own little YouTubes, or little Chelsea fan YouTubes or whatever, and they kept freaking out because Marino was fired. Now, if you go back now, everything's all fine and dandy. And I tried to tell y'all before, look, it's just one season. Don't worry about it. Obviously, not used to losing. Hey, we here in Philly. You ever see the Sixers? You ever see the Phillies? You ever see the Eagles? It's like y'all don't know what losing means yet. Y'all don't know. And the way y'all acted when I went out there, and it was just like, And then you had other teams, or rival teams, when I was, going to London Eye or something like that, would start talking all types of shit to me. Oh, you're a Chelsea fan. They just got destroyed, this season. And I told those employees, I said, wait till next season. This is before we even had contact. You know what I mean? Wait till next season. They'll be better. Fast forward to today, and we win. So yeah, the salt. Like I said, at this point, relax. Now, not too long ago, they played Watford, and as far as I'm concerned, that was a shootout. I'm very shocked that Watford scored that many goals. Not to mention John Terry scored 1 goal and then turned around and gave them a goal. So, whatever. But Chelsea won. At this point, you just want to finish out the season good. I get it. We won the title. We should be celebrating at this point. I want to say, good games to all the, competitors and all your, team's fans to see where they ended up. And we will see what happens. We still got the FA Cup going on, and people are already looking forward to Champions League. So we'll see what happens, all right? We'll see. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's been a laughable weekend for me. But here's something that's even more laughable. Lance Stevenson, let's talk about him. Griffin Force, flop of the week. You gotta be kidding me that this little bump by LeBron, this is what you do. Because you know what? You're so used to flopping against LeBron that now you probably can have a whole low-light reel of it happening. Speaking of the NBA, listen, since we're talking about flopping, have anyone seen these things on Twitter where a guy will flop and they start making fun of him and they start having the music in the background? I usually retweet them on Twitter. As far as I'm concerned, that is the way to go about the flopping issue, because if Adam Silver is not going to take care of the flopping issue, then let the fans take care of it. You see a flop, have him go into space and do all this other stuff and running the whales and stuff. Embarrass them as much as possible. It's the only way that the point's going to get across. Okay? It's the only way. Now, let's start, before I talk about the playoffs, let's talk about the NBA draft selection last night. Okay? Now, it's weird because last night, before the draft selection, a bunch of us went up to go play basketball, right? A bunch of us went to play basketball, played for hours, had fun. I had a really good night. You know what I mean? It was a really good night for me. I wasn't even really trying that hard, to be honest. I could have took it to another level. But really good night, basketball-wise. But then on the way home, you're hearing idiots talk about if you're not a real basketball fan, if you're not at Xfinity Live right now, or if you're not at a bar waiting for the draft pick, because apparently the media was hyping up this draft selection, not even the draft pick, but the selection. People were tailgating for the selection. They're like, yeah, this is what real fans look like, and this is what real basketball fans look like. They're tailgating a draft selection, and Xfinity was packed, and they're showing these shots of Xfinity, and I'm like, bro, so you just going to disrespect all of us who love the game and actually play it? So real fans go get drunk and watch it, as opposed to the fake fans who actually play it. That don't even make no damn sense. No sense whatsoever. So, with that said, okay, once the picks came in, and I feel really, I'll put it like this, the person who lost the most, you know what, I'll say that, all right? Because let me talk about this real quick, all right? The Sixers got the third pick, okay? The Celtics got the first, which is like, come on, the Celtics are already there, but they're building up the Celtics, and the Lakers get the second pick. Now, here's the thing, all right? There's a number of factors here. First off, the NBA really wants, I'll put it this, the NBA is helping the Sixers try to get better, all right? Because we're almost half a decade into this now, right? So we shouldn't be in this situation. There's no excuses next season come up. No excuses for the Sixers. The NBA is trying to help the Sixers. On top of this, they understand the history of Lakers and Celtics. You get that, right? So they're going to make sure that the Lakers and Celtics stay good. That's what they're going to make sure, all right? And in Boston in general, they're very spoiled in Boston right now because given their teams and how they play. So let's not forget that either. Regardless of all the cheating or not, they're still winning championships, all right? So let's not forget that. So the Celtics get first, the Lakers get second, the Sixers get third, and then on Twitter, Lakers fans and Sixers fans are arguing with each other because of the pick. Why? I don't understand this. Unless y'all going to go out in the court and settle it, like, because the real fans, whatever. Unless you're going to go sell it in some ball, shut up. Just shut up. It doesn't make no sense. All right? Both teams' fan bases should be happy with the pick that they got. Seriously, could have been a lot worse. The fan base who had the worst pick, now we'll talk about it, was the damn Knicks. You've got to be kidding me, Phil Jackson, that you went through all of this and the way you screwed over Knicks fans. I don't understand. Look, you have to understand. Knicks fans at one point were like, we could be a good team going into the playoffs. Then Knicks fans started to see what was going on. They was like, no, just tank it. It's done. It's over. You know what I mean? Then you had another part of the fan base say that, no, we want to cheer on to get 7th seed. You know what I mean? Try and get to the playoffs. Well, you're not going to get a good draft selection with that case. So, given what's going on with the Knicks, and the Knicks, was it Phil Jackson's trying to trade Melo, which I hope don't happen because who are you going to bring in? You keep trying to push this triangle offense. Hell, even your point guard, D. Rose, that you brought in, who's hurt again. You brought in, Joakim Noah, and for all that money, he got hurt. Then he got caught with PEDs. Like, Phil Jackson has not done what he needs to do as a general manager. All right? And if he felt he was so damn good and so damn zen, he should have took over the coaching position. As far as I'm concerned, when the Knicks were having some type of success with Woodson, they should have kept him. Instead, Phil wanted to bring in his own guys. And what happened with that? What happened with Derek Fisher? Huh? What happened with him? Exactly. Look, I put it like this. The Knicks did all that work, and they really didn't get a good pick. At all. So Knicks fans who wanted to tank were laughing the entire time they got that pick. It goes to show you, so for everybody who's a Sixers fan or a blind Sixers fan, and every time we beat the Knicks, you say, ha ha ha, Knicks fans, they don't know. It's always good to beat the Knicks fans. They're hurting right now. Actually, no. Because the Knicks fan base wanted them to tank at the time. You understand? See, this is what I mean. If you're not talking to other fan bases or know people that are from other teams' fan bases, then you don't know what the hell is going on. But you'll be quick to sit and run your mouth on Twitter about it, won't you? Quick to type that shit up. It makes no sense. So, yeah, the Knicks came out the worst, if you ask me, in this entire draft selection, number selection, pick the lottery. So, as far as I'm concerned, the Sixers made out well. I don't understand why they're arguing with Lakers fans. The Lakers made out extremely well. And, of course, the Celtics made out extremely well. Look, if the Celtics are a contender and the Cavs are pretty much steamrolling everyone, then, yes, you need to have somewhat to push the Celtics to have, a good season and try to keep them there because you need some type of contention in the East. The East is so bad that you need contention. You do. It's just that simple. No one wants to talk about that, though, for some reason. I don't understand it. I don't. But let's move on to the playoffs. The playoffs are a joke. It's been a joke. The media is now saying that the playoffs are a joke right now, and the regular season may be better than the playoffs. And I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all the same people who said that the regular season doesn't matter and to wait for the playoffs. Didn't y'all say that? Now all of a sudden, the playoffs are a joke and the regular season is better. How about they're both a joke at this point? And the NBA is hurting so bad that they don't know what else to do. Maybe if they cleaned it up. Oh, but that's just too much work now, isn't it, Adam Silver? So, yeah, we saw what happened with Golden State and San Antonio. They're 2 games in before we even get a Cleveland-Boston game, which is interesting. But you have to understand, they should have held back, but given their time slots and schedules and how much time they have, that you got to take advantage of the airtime. That's just how it is. They have a schedule. So for people who are saying, I don't get it, yeah, it does look weird, but you have to understand the business aspect of things. That's all it is, okay? So we'll see what happens with Celtics, Cleveland. I had the Cavs winning this. I told y'all at the beginning of the season, get ready for Golden State versus the Cavs round 3. Hell, it may go to round 5 depending on how these teams play in the next 2 years. And you can't tell me the NBA is not predictable. But within all of this in the draft selection, I have to say that LeVar Ball has been somewhat right. Because remember, he came out and said that his son, if he doesn't play for the Lakers, he's not playing for anyone. It seems like that's going to be the case right now. Big baller brand. Yeah, right. Big baller brand. So what, 300 sneakers? Yeah, big baller brand. Doesn't matter the price markup. When you got millions upon millions of people, and then you only sell 300 sneakers, I guess you have to wait for the draft now to see where your son goes. Depending on where his son goes, and if he plays well, then the brand does well. I'm sure that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Then you have to deal with him. You have to deal with the balls. You have to. So we will see what happens with that. Shall we move on? Yeah, I think we should move on. Let's talk about boxing real quick. Because some of you had asked me, had questions. You asked me who my favorite boxer was in the current state of boxing. I got 2, and I always talk about them. Lomachenko, Chavez Jr. They're my 2 top right now because of the way they fight. All right? That's just it. All right? Now, of course, we can talk about Canelo versus Chavez Jr. As far as I'm concerned, it was a joke. I knew it was going to be a joke. I knew Canelo was going to run through Chavez Jr. If you think about it, Chavez Jr., while he's talented, you can't scoff at his record. A lot of people like to talk about how, he beat a bunch of nobodies, all right? Until Sergio Martinez came back along and took his title back and beat him up because, remember, he was stripped from it. I mean, they did a whole documentary on Sergio for this. So, it's very interesting because his record still speaks volumes. You can't have over 50, you can't have 50 wins in a profession like this and just be like, oh, he beat a bunch of nobodies. He's nobody. No. All right? We saw what happened in the last fight with Fanfara where he got knocked out with Fanfara. Was that his last fight? I believe it was his last fight. With Fanfara. No, I believe he fought someone else after that. But anyways, and he was talking about fight me at 171, and Fanfara was like, bro, we fought at like 175. It's not that much of a difference. All right? But, yeah, there's a couple pounds of difference ain't going to matter. But he was so full of himself, and he said he thought he won. He got knocked out, but he thought he won. Fighting Canelo, we found out, because we know Chavez and how he is, very lax when it comes to his training. As we know, he's been caught doing all types of drugs or whatever during his training, and he got caught with that. He was suspended for a while. Like, he doesn't take training seriously. But for this fight, he took it very seriously. He trained. He cut the weight down. What was it, 164 they were fighting at? Cut the weight down. Got a nutritionist. Like, this guy was really going at it. So people thought, hey, that this would be a good fight. Canelo had to go up 10 pounds. Chavez had to lose the weight. You know what I mean? So that could play a factor. I remember before the fight started, De La Hoya had said that the fight isn't really going to start until round 4. And he was dead on the money with that one. He was. Because round 4 is exactly when Canelo started exposing Chavez. And it was just a run through the entire time. It was a joke. So I put it like this. If Chavez took his training that seriously, had a nutritionist, did everything he needed to, and that's where he was, I felt at this thing, before the fight started, I feel the best I've ever felt. I feel great. And, he was on top of his game. And you still get beat like that? And then afterwards you say, well, I wanted to throw more. For those who didn't see the interviews, I wanted to throw more, but I was tired. Losing all that weight really hurt me. Okay, so which one is it? Which one is it? You're in the best shape of your life, or I can't adjust to the weight. Which one is it? Sounds like a bunch of excuses. It does. But if that was your best chance at a top-tier fighter like Canelo, you're done, dude. You're done. And I'm not saying you're done as in your career's done, because that's what Canelo tried to say. Canelo afterwards was like, the legend of Chavez Jr. is over. He was nothing. It was a glorified sparring match. And it was. It was. But, let's be honest here. Chavez Jr. is still going to find, he has a huge fan base, so he's still going to find people who's going to pay for him to watch fights. Like I said, his record is still great, so he can still draw people. He will still get fights. But you have to understand that Chavez Jr. will not be at the top of the mountain anymore. Unless he drops weight, or he just gets a lucky promotion or whatever. Maybe there's a champion out there who needs, someone to have a bigger draw so that he can fight. Either way, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Chavez Jr. right now is in this gray area. You don't know where he's going to go. You know what I mean? He could stop right now and probably be cool. But I guess that's not a factor now that we know the news, the recent news that came out as of late. After the fight, for those who don't know, Chavez Jr. had a bunch of ladies in his room, scantily clad ladies jumping all up on him, right? Thought it was cool. Until he got robbed for $40,000 in his hotel room. That's right. Now, with that said, his wife came along, because apparently his wife, she's the one who filed the claim. She was, she wasn't there at the time, but he was there. She was there staying with him. And there's video of this online of him, the girls taking off their clothes and stuff, and he's laid up on the bed and everything. So his wife is okay with these women acting this way on him, and everything's cool and all gravy until he got robbed for $40,000. Now they try to, sue MGM for, they try to say it was just the ladies letting them in, it was them. Then they're trying to say it was the employees. Now they're just suing MGM in general for $40,000. Not that your husband was letting these women just grind all over him, huh? The life, man, the life. The boxing life, I guess. So Chavez has a lot of problems right now. I'm sure he's made millions and millions of dollars. Both fighters made a good amount of money that night, out the gate. But, yeah, to get caught like that, you gotta think. You lost a fight to Canelo, and then you lose $40,000 for some chicks who were just taking off their clothes? It's not a good look, bruh. Where do you go from here? Like, seriously. You went from taking something serious to, oh, I lost, let me fall back in my old ways damn near. I don't know how that goes. I really don't. I just don't. Either way, we know that Canelo Triple G is going to happen in September. Hopefully, both can stay healthy during their training, and we actually get this fight in September instead of it being pushed back as for a later date due to the fact that someone got injured or whatever. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. That's probably your biggest fight that's going to come up, your super fight. Of course, we know that Mayweather, Conor McGregor is going to happen. We're not going to entertain that just yet. All right, not just yet. But like I said, Canelo versus Triple G will be a good fight. We will see exactly how this goes down. Either way, look, I put it like this. I don't care who wins this fight. This is one of those fights, again, that I would just love to see what happens. Of course, as it gets closer and closer to the fight, I'll start looking at their training, training regimens and see exactly, just by eye, to see exactly who I feel is going to win this due to the fact they're training. Triple G better not think about going out there and doing what he usually does and letting Canelo punch him for a couple times to see what he got. That's not going to help the situation any. I understand you want to take his best punch and say, okay, I took your best punch, I survived it, you have nothing else left. Canelo can punch. He can. Jacobs could punch, and you saw what happened at times with Triple G and Jacobs. So you can't just give them that. You know what I mean? Triple G just can't just give Canelo punches just to give it to him. Can't do that whatsoever. You have to be very cautious when fighting Canelo Alvarez. So this is going to be a very interesting fight to see how this goes down. Anyways, I am done for this week. I'm done in general for the sports. And until next time, I will talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I swear to God, if y'all haven't seen that video, watch the video. You know what I'll do is I'll put the link to the video in the description field for you so that you can see Chavez Jr. and these women jumping all over him if you want. Anyways, I'll talk to you later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.